Picture this. You take one shot a week. The hunger, it just stops. The cravings that you fought for your entire life, they're gone. The weight, it falls off. The clothes fit now. The mirror changes. You like what you see. People treat you differently. The world, it opens up. And somewhere in the back of your mind, the part that still remembers every failed diet, every broken promise to yourself, something lifts. The struggle's over. The pitch, that's the miracle. And it's real. The weight loss is real. The numbers are real. The before and after photos are real. But here's what no one is showing you in the after photo. When the side effects started showing up, and they are showing up, the explanation that you hear most is that rapid weight loss is hard on the body. That's true, but it's the most dangerous kind of true, because it sounds like a complete answer when it barely is the beginning of one. It implies if you lose it slower, then you'll be fine. Take it easy and the risk will disappear. But they don't. The problem isn't the speed. The problem is what the drug is doing that no one put in the headline. You are not just losing weight. You are making a biological trade. And most people don't find out what they're sold until it's too late to buy it back. Like selling your soul to the devil. Here's what's actually happening inside of your body when these drugs work. When you chemically suppress hunger this aggressively, your body doesn't know it's on a medication. It thinks it's starving, and a body that thinks it's starving does not wait around for you to lose fat elegantly. It burns the expensive machinery first. Studies show that up to 40% of the weight lost on GLP-1 drugs is not fat. It's actually lean tissue, muscle, and bone. Now why does that matter? Because muscle is not just aesthetics. Muscle is your physiological reserve, and it is your armor. It's where your body stores glucose. It's the amino acid bank you draw from when you get sick, when you have surgery, when you fall. When you strip that away, you are not getting healthier. You are chemically accelerating the aging process. You are trading the risk of a heart attack at 70 for a near certainty of a hip fracture at 65. Now, the drug companies will point you to the clinical trials, and the trials show muscle loss. They just don't show whose muscle, because not everyone in that trial was you. And the average participant had access to a dietitian, a personal trainer, a structured resistance program designed to offset the lean tissue loss. Most people prescribed this drug do not have those things. They have a pharmacy and a weekly shot. And if you are over 50, postmenopausal, already sedentary, you are not in the same risk category as the person in the clinical trial. You are in a categorically different conversation, because here's what happens to muscle after 50. You are already losing it, naturally, unavoidably, about 1% per year from the age of 30, accelerating after menopause. The medical term is sarcopenia, and it is already one of the leading predictors of early death in older adults. Now add a drug that strips 40% of your weight loss as lean tissue. You are not fighting aging. You are sprinting toward it. Statistically, most people being prescribed this drug, they're paying the full biological price with no offset. It's not a coincidence. This is what the system was built for and who it's being sold to. And it's not just the loss of muscle. There is another side effect that is flooding gastroenterology practices right now, that has triggered mass lawsuits, that is still destroying people's lives years after they stop taking the drug. It's called gastroparesis, or stomach paralysis. Your stomach is a muscle. It is supposed to contract and move food through your digestive system. GLP-1 drugs slow gastric emptying as part of how they work. That's what makes you feel full. But in a significant number of users, the slowdown doesn't stop when the drug stops. The stomach forgets how to move. Think about what that means for a moment. You cannot eat a normal meal. Food sits in your stomach for hours, sometimes days. Nausea, vomiting, malnutrition. People are having feeding tubes placed. People who were healthy before they took the shot. And the lawsuits are not from people still on the drug. They are from people who stopped months ago, years ago, whose stomachs have not recovered. There is no reversal drug. There is no reset button. You traded a number on a scale for a digestive system that may never work correctly again. And that's not the only trade. There's a condition called NAION. It's a stroke of the optic nerve. You wake up one morning and a curtain has fallen over one eye. No pain, no warning, just darkness. Harvard Medical School flagged it. The studies are real. The spike in risk among GLP-1 users is real, and in many cases, it is permanent. This is not a side effect that clears up. This is not something you treat with eye drops. This is called neural death. You are rolling dice with your vision every single week you take the shot. So why is the medical establishment writing millions of prescriptions for a drug that eats your muscle and risks your eyesight? Because modern medicine is not designed to treat humans. It is designed to treat metrics. Your chart says BMI down, blood pressure down, A1C improving. The system stamps it a success. But the system has no metric. But will this patient survive a fall in 10 years? Will this patient go blind? What does this patient's body look like at 70 after a decade of chemical muscle loss? Those questions don't have billing codes. So the doctors celebrate the numbers, the drug companies celebrate the sales, and you celebrate the before and after, and nobody is lying to you. The complete story is hidden, and they're just measuring the wrong things. Now let's say you're lucky. You dodge the blindness, you keep the muscle, you lose the weight, you feel incredible. Here's what the brochure left out. These drugs do not fix your biology. They suppress it. They don't reset your body's set point. They just hold the door shut with a weekly injection forever. The moment that you stop, the door blows wide open. The hunger returns. Not normally, with a vengeance. The weight comes back. Studies show near total regain within 1 year of stopping. But here's the part that is genuinely horrifying. Remember the muscle and bone density that you burned through on the way down? That does not come back. When the weight returns, it returns almost entirely as fat. So you end up back at your starting weight, but with less muscle, weaker bones, and a metabolism that is measurably worse than the day you took your first dose. You are physiologically older than if you had never touched it in the first place. Now everything I just told you, the muscle loss, the bone density, the blindness risk, the gastroparesis, the life sentence of dependency, all of that is just the adult conversation. In 2023, the FDA approved GLP-1 drugs for children as young as 12 years old. A child who has not finished building the bone density they will rely on for the next 70 years. A child in the most critical window of musculoskeletal development their body will ever have. We are giving them a drug that strips lean tissue and bone during the only years their body can build it at scale. The hunger these children feel is not a malfunction. It is biology doing exactly what it is supposed to do to build a complete human being, and we are chemically switching it off. We do not have a single long-term study on what GLP-1 drugs do to a child who takes them through puberty and into adulthood. Not one. We are running the experiment right now on children without their informed consent, with their parents' hopeful signatures on a form that does not say any of what I just told you. If there is one thing in this video that should make you angry, this is it. So look at what you're actually being offered. You are risking permanent blindness for a result you only get to keep if you stay on an expensive, muscle-destroying drug for the rest of your life. If you stop, for any reason, the cost, shortage, side effects, you end up worse than you were before you started. Does that sound like healthcare? Or does that sound like a subscription you can never cancel? Now, let's be precise, because the strongest argument that can be made is an honest one. For a 400-pound man with active heart failure and type 2 diabetes, the risk calculus may genuinely favor this drug. If your obesity is actively killing you right now, the long-term trade-offs that were described may be a price worth paying for the years it buys you. That is a real and legitimate medical calculation. But that is not who is driving the $40 billion in sales every year. That is not the 25-year-old who wants to lose 30 pounds for her wedding. That is not the 45-year-old man whose doctor suggested it at a routine physical. It is not the 12-year-old whose parents were told it was the responsible choice. The drug was developed for a specific severe medical need, severe obesity. It is being sold to an entire culture. And the people who need the honest risk conversation most are the ones who will never get it, because the system that was supposed to give it to them is too busy celebrating the metrics. Now that you see the system, the confusion lifts. You understand why the miracle feels hollow to some people. You understand why the emergency rooms are filling with a new kind of patient. You understand why geriatricians are losing sleep. True health is not a number. It is the capability of your body to survive the world, to catch yourself when you fall, to fight an infection, to recover from surgery, to see your grandchildren grow. Muscle is the organ of longevity. Vision is your window to reality. Bone density is the difference between a stumble and a funeral. There is no free lunch in biology. Let me tell you something personal. This isn't the first time we've been sold a chemical shortcut. Years ago, I fell for one. Splenda, 0 calories, no sugar, safe and effective. That was the pitch. I was a bodybuilder growing up and I understand nutrition. I eat real food. I've never been reckless with sugar. But for years, I drank coffee all day, every day. 5 Splendas per cup, multiple large cups of coffee with coffee meat, and something light for breakfast, and something real for dinner at night. Nothing extreme, nothing irresponsible. And every year, 4 pounds. 4 pounds doesn't scare you until it's 5 years later, and it's 20 pounds. And the weight felt different. It felt sticky. It was resistant. And then I had labs done. I got told I have a fatty liver, but I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat garbage. I limit sugar. So I asked myself, where is this coming from? And I investigated, and I realized something. We were taught to count calories, but biology doesn't count calories. It responds to signals. Artificial sweeteners create a sweetness signal without glucose. Some research suggests they may alter gut microbiota, insulin signaling, and hunger regulation in certain individuals. Not universally, not for everyone, but enough to matter. When I removed Splenda and switched to something else, Truvia, my labs improved. My weight stabilized. Was it the only factor? Maybe, maybe not. But it was a factor. And here's the bigger pattern. These products were introduced during a time when obesity accelerated rather than declining. If 0 calories were the whole story, that trend should have gone in the other direction. That doesn't prove malicious intent, but it does prove this. Chemical shortcuts don't always behave the way the labels suggest. Now connect it back. We were told sweetness without calories is harmless. Now we're told weight loss without hunger is harmless. In both cases, the mechanism is suppression. You suppress glucose, you suppress appetite, but you don't fix the underlying metabolic environment. You override it. And every override has downstream effects. Not because someone is evil, but because biology is not a spreadsheet. You cannot chemically trick a system that spent 200,000 years learning how to survive without paying a tax. The question is not whether the drug works. The question is, what exactly is it working on? Every generation gets sold the miracle. The mature question isn't, does it work? It's, what does it cost? Now that you know the answer, what you do is up to you. This is breaking boundaries. Share this message with your friends and families. Protect them from the downside risk. God bless you and stay safe.